Hello, and welcome to Math Matters. I'm Miss Ott. Today, we will be learning about area and perimeter. For this lesson, you will need a pencil and some paper. Go ahead and get those supplies now. Let's get our math brains working by thinking about area. How much area does this hand cover? Take a moment and record your estimate on your paper. Now you will get some more information. Remember, mathematicians are always revising answers when they get new information. Use the new information to make a new estimate for how much area you think the hand is covering. I used what I saw on the paper to help me make my estimate. I saw that one large square contains 4 smaller squares. I counted the large squares that the hand is covering. I counted about 28 squares. Since I know that each of the large squares has 4 squares inside of it, I multiplied 4 times 28 and got 112 square units. How did you think about your estimate? Let's find out. The hand covers 120 5/10 square units. That's the same as 120 1/2 square units. My estimate was close, but a little low. How did your estimate compare? Today, we will be problem solvers. I'm going to share a problem with you. Each time I read it, I will give a little more information and some questions to think about. Try to imagine what's happening in the word problem in your mind. Let's try. Sidney is building a garden at the corner of his house. What are you picturing in your mind? What shape do you think the garden might be? What do you think he might plant in his garden? Sidney is building a garden at the corner of his house. This is a drawing showing the shape of his garden. What are you picturing in your mind now? Why do you think the garden is going to have this shape? I think the garden needs to be this shape because it's going alongside the corner of his house. Now look at the screen. We just got some new information. What do you know now? We know that the longest side of Sidney's garden is 12 feet long. If this is the length of the longest side, make an estimate about what the other side's lengths might be. I know that this side plus this side need to be equal to 12. So I'm wondering how long they might be. Sidney is building a garden at the corner of his house. This is a drawing showing the shape of his garden. What is the perimeter of the garden? Now we have some new information. We know the length of most of the sides of the garden. And we know that we need to find the perimeter of the garden. Why might Sidney want to find the perimeter of the garden? Maybe Sidney is trying to build a fence around the outside of his garden. He would need to know the perimeter to buy the wood to build the fence. Remember, perimeter means the total distance around the outside of a shape. Thinking about what we know about rectangles, how might we determine the lengths of the other sides of the garden so that we can find the perimeter? See if you can determine the lengths of the missing sides now. We can use the information from the picture to figure out what's missing. We know that the width of the triangle is 6 feet. We know that the opposite side also must be 6 feet. We know that we can see that part of that width is 2 feet. If the total is 6 feet, and we know that part of it is 2 feet, we can figure out that the unknown part is 4 feet, because 4 and 2 make 6. We have one more side of our shape to figure out. We can use what we know already to figure out the missing part. If we know that one side of our shape is 12 feet, that means the opposite side also needs to be 12 feet total. I can see from my picture that part of that side is 9 feet. If I know that the total is 12 feet and that part of that side is 9 feet long, how many feet is the missing side? The missing side is 3 feet. Now that we know the dimensions of Sidney's garden, we can calculate the perimeter. Take a moment, use your paper and pencil, and figure out the perimeter, or the distance around the outside of Sidney's garden. We can determine the perimeter of the shape by adding all the sides together. Sometimes mathematicians write P for perimeter. P, or perimeter, equals 36 feet. What is the area of Sidney's garden? In order to find the area, we can divide the garden into two rectangles. Remember, when calculating area, you can calculate width times length. Use your paper and pencil to find the area of each of these rectangles. Let's check your work. To find the area of this rectangle from the garden, you would multiply 3 feet times 6 feet because that is the length and the width of the rectangle. So the area equals 3 feet times 6 feet, which equals 18 feet squared. Remember that when we're talking about area, we always use the units squared. In this case, the unit we're measuring in is feet. So the area is 18 feet squared. To find the area of this portion of the garden, we would multiply 9 feet by 4 feet. And that gives us an area of 36 feet squared. Now that we know the area of both rectangles that make up Sidney's garden, we can find the total area. Figure out the total area of Sidney's garden using your paper and pencil. When we add 18 square feet and 36 square feet, we get a total area of 54 square feet. Now it's your turn. Copy down this shape and the dimensions on your paper. When the video ends, use what you've learned to find the perimeter and area of this shape. This has been Math Matters. Today, you learned about area and perimeter. I'm Miss Ott. I hope you have a great day and keep on counting.